Good morning, good morning. I am Miss Struff. I have been a STEM teacher for about 12 years now. I work primarily with neurodiverse students in a private school setting. So what I want to do today is I want to share with you a lesson that we've been working on in my classroom. It's called Beat Breakdown. And I apologize if you can, I hope you can all hear my voice. I learned you're not supposed to go to a rock concert the day before you teach a lesson. So that was a joke. Sorry, I just didn't say. You gotta start with the joke. All right. So what we're gonna do, what I wanna do is I wanna go back before we start this first activity, and I wanna refresh everyone's memory about computational thinking. This is my big thing, okay? So computational thinking, let's see, I'm gonna need a volunteer to read the definition of computational thinking. I'm sorry, I need to remember every participant's name. I'm sorry, can I have your name one more time?
You got it, Sean. You got it.
Yes.
Practice those speaking
There's
skills.
no place to run.
Yes. Can I have your name one more time?
Sean.
Sean, could you read, what is computational thinking?
It's a set of strategies used to solve complex problems.
Yeah, it's a set of strategies used to solve complex problems. Computational thinking isn't just for computers. Remember I said I'm a STEM teacher, I'm a computer science teacher. But I'm also a math teacher, and I'm also a science teacher, and I'm also an everything else teacher at my school. So computational thinking isn't just for computer science, STEM, and coding. It can be used to solve problems across all academic disciplines. And so far, in the other lessons, we've been looking at things like abstraction and pattern recognition and algorithm design. But this lesson specifically is about decomposition. I've got a list of objectives up here on the board. That's my favorite thing. I start with my objectives. All right? So students are going to be able to use decomposition to break down a beat into its component parts. How many music players do we have? Anyone at home or online or in the classroom that plays an instrument? Corey, you play an instrument. What do you play?
The flute.
You play the flute.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I used to play the saxophone in high school. I don't play the saxophone anymore. Nor do I play any other instrument. I'm trying to learn the ukulele. And that's a little difficult for me. Because honestly, I tell you, music is not my specialty. It's definitely not my specialty. But because I know about decomposition, I can break it down. I can teach myself. We're going to explain how measure and tempo affect the beats. You are going to learn some music today. We're going to use the wearable music sensor to play beats in time with a measure. We're going to use pattern recognition to identify similar beats in music. And we're going to use algorithm design to make our own beats. So by the end of the lesson today, you will have made a beat for your own music. So just to refresh, I know we were getting our materials ready, so I want to make sure everyone has this in front of them. We've got our 3 wearable music sensors. I've got my 3 sensors. We're going to need the wearable jazz and sonic introduction apps. So we got those open on our computers. We're also going to need pencil and scratch paper because we are going to be visualizing one of our beats. So if you do not have a pencil or scratch paper, you're going to have to get that at some point during the lesson. We're also going to need our laptops, and we're going to have a website open. This was shared with us. That's the EarSketch website. That's where we're going to be coding our music. So just quick, does anyone need to open that up? Do we all have EarSketch open? Do we have our apps open? Do we have our music sensors connected? All right, so we're going to open up the Wearable Jazz app, and I'm going to get I got my sensors connected here. And what we're going to do is we're going to get up, we're going to have a dance party. I know it's 9 a.m. to what, 10 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday? That's a perfect time to have a dance party. So I'm going to need some volunteers. I'm going to have Sean come up here. I'm also have Jonathan come and join me. We're all going to come up here. We're each going to take a sensor, and we're going to see just how this Wearable Jazz app works. We heard from Seth a little bit earlier about how all of the sensors will affect each other. So let's put that into practice and let's actually see what happens, okay? So I'm gonna switch over now. I'm gonna stop sharing this one. We got multiple computers, makes it a little bit. All right, we're gonna share screen. We're gonna share here, share sound. Do you hear it? Let's see. How do I turn
I can turn it up.
Let's turn the volume up.
All right.
Let's turn the volume up so we can really hear it.
Keep going.
Okay. 1, 2, and 3. Jonathan, I'll give you number 1. Or this is sensor number 2. So I'll give you sensor number 1. I've got sensor number 3. All right? And let's make this something. Let's move our bodies. Let's make this nice and loud. Can we make it even louder?
Sure.
Even louder.
Yeah, crank it up.
Yeah, crank it up. Because we gotta hear the subtle differences. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, let's go crazy. Okay, we're trying to move these sensors around, try to feel out the space, and you're hearing. What is the sensor doing when you move it? Try. Oh, I heard something new. You hear that? Try that again. Make that sound again. Who's got that? Remember, you can move it in a bunch of different ways. You can move it side to side. You can move it up and down. You can twist it. You can shake it. You can do like a big circle. Who's making that drum sound? Who's in control of that drum? Try to move around. Who's in control of the drum? Wait. Oh. Okay, I hear Sean changing the melody. What about yours? Side to side?
Well, it looks like sensor 2 might have run out of battery.
Oh no! Is it out? Oh no!
Okay, let's
Here. Switch it over to sensor 3. Let's switch it over to sensor 3. Right there. Sensor 3. Oh, there we go. So what am I doing to make the drums? Is it this motion? This is the y-axis. How about the z-axis? Does the z-axis do anything? No? X-axis.
Well,
Oh, there it goes. There it is. What about... Okay, cool. We can stop it. Thank you so much. Hey, great job, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so let's try to break that down. That first sensor, Sean, the sensor you had, what motion was changing the melody? It was up and down. So would be my math students, this is the y-axis, right? Up and down. Okay. And then my drum, what made the drum? It was the side to side, correct? That would be, from math students, that'd be the x-axis. The z-axis, going this way and this way, I didn't really do anything, did it? I didn't really do anything. I didn't have anything set to the z-axis. Well, we just played something really, really complex, right? There was like almost a cacophony of sound. There was a lot going on. But what y'all were doing, and this is what we try to teach our students, is that if you listen carefully, you can start to pick one thing out, right? Out of all of that din, you can pick out, oh, the melody changed, or oh, the beat changed, or oh, this effect changed. So as a review, that means our movement, which was our input, changed the effect of the sound. That's our output. It's always going to be input and output. Here's what decomposition is. So in computational thinking, decomposition means breaking a problem down into smaller parts or smaller steps. Let's say I gotta teach everyone how to solve an algebra problem. Man, you remember algebra? Oh man, like high school 9th grade algebra. Well, if I gotta solve this like multi-step equation, I can't do that in one step, can I? I can't just look at that and go, oh, the answer must be 3. And sometimes we have students that approach a problem and they go, oh, well, I'm just supposed to know it right away, right? They get this idea in their head, they're like, well, if I was smart, I'd just be able to know right away, right? I should just know what the answer is. And really, that's not how our brains work, right? That's not how we think. If we're gonna solve something like this, well, I mean, look, I'd have to distribute that 2 across the x and the 5. And I'd get 2x plus 10 is equal to 16. And then I'd have to, let's see, if I try to remember, I gotta eliminate all the other constants. So this 10 is in the way of my x, so I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna subtract 10 from both sides. And then I've got 2x equals 6. I have this coefficient in front of the x, that's a 2. I'll divide both sides by 2, and now I have x by 3. So that took like 3 or 4 steps, right? That took multiple steps to complete. And so why decomposition is important is because, when we are coding, we have to break down our code into line by line, into process by process in an algorithm. In math, I have to break down my math problem into several steps. But really, in any academic setting, whether this is a dance class or a music class or a science class or a STEM class, in problem solving, decomposition is a strategy that's going to break a complex problem down into smaller parts that individually are easier to understand and to solve. So what we're going to do is I've got a challenge for you. I want to challenge what everyone's ability to decompose or use decomposition. If you notice, I've got some visual aids today. I've got some drumsticks. And on these drumsticks, we're going to be putting our sensors on these in a little bit. But the idea is, and the way I wanted to teach decomposition using our wearable music sensors is through music. And so when I asked the group, like, hey, who's played musical instruments before? I didn't hear anyone say they could play the drums, right? I didn't hear anyone say they could play the drums. But by the end of the day today, you will be able to play the drums because we're going to figure this out together. We're going to pretend like none of us have ever played the drums before, myself included, because listen, I've only done the electronic ones. I've never actually set foot down on a drum kit. I've never played the drums. But what we're going to do is we're going to figure this out together. So I've got a video that we're going to watch, that we're going to listen to, okay? And what we're going to do is you're going to listen to the beat, and you've got to tell me, how many different drums did you hear? How often did the beat repeat? And how were these drums arranged? So we're going to be using decomposition, and we're also going to be going back to pattern recognition and abstraction. I want you to listen, and I want you to hear for the pattern and try to break it down. We'll start with, how many different drums do you hear? Okay, let's pause it. How many different drums did you hear? How many different drums did you hear? Sean, how many did you hear?
You have 2 different type of drums within the set.
Okay, you heard 2 drums. Did anyone else hear a different? Who else heard 2? 2 different drums. We got a hand back here, got a hand over here. Okay, did anyone hear a different number than 2? Did anyone hear like 1 or 4? What'd you hear?
I heard about 3.
Heard about 3?
Yeah.
Oh. We're gonna keep playing that video. We're gonna keep listening to it.
Symbols.
It's gonna go a little faster. It's gonna go a little faster. I'm definitely not giving away any visual information with what I'm doing right here. How many drums do you?
I think it's this one, isn't it? Is it 2?
Kick drum.
Okay,
Because I'm hearing
we can
the
pause it.
Symbol.
Yeah, the symbols, okay.
Okay, well, let's open up. Let's share the video. Let's show everybody. Let's show everybody what's going on. This time we'll use some visual information, and we'll go back from the very beginning. Yes. How many instruments?
You said how many drums?
How many drums?
2.
There's 2.
2. Hi-hat is not a drum.
The kick
That's all.
drum.
Hi-hat's not a drum. Man, I guess you got me on technicality there. That's certainly true. That's certainly true. Maybe I'll ask a different question. How many unique sounds do you hear?
At least 3.
At least 3. There we go. Okay, let's pause it. So yeah, so this is the Apple One Orange One beat. So for anyone who's never played the drums, this is the first beat you are taught. The very first lesson, very first day when you play the drums. Okay? It goes like this. You've got a hi-hat, and you're hitting that hi-hat. 1, 2, 3, 4. You've also got that big kick drum. So if you're visualizing what a drum kit looks like, that the biggest drum, that's your kick drum. And you're hitting that with your foot. Boom. And there's also a snare drum. You're hitting that. Let's watch what's happening. Because we're at 30 seconds. This is perfect. Let's play it again. Yeah. Look at the hi-hat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the kick drum. 1, 1, 1. The snare drum. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see how they're all getting hit at different times? Oh, perfect. All right. Well, here, how about another way to visualize this? So here's what the Apple One Orange One beat looks like. Remember I said we were going to learn about measure and beat. So here's your definition. I'm going to define that for you. A measure is just how often a piece of music will repeat itself. The beat is how often you have a repetition within the measure. If you look at the beat, how many beats are in my measure? We got 4 beats in that measure. So a measure would go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it would repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all a measure is. It's just a way to repeat the pattern for your music. If you look at the way the beat is composed, the hi-hat, how often does the hi-hat play? It plays on 1, on beat 1, plays on beat 2, plays on beat 3, plays on beat 4. So if I were to play that, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. The kick, that big kick drum, you notice it's only on 1. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only on the 1. And the snare, well, that's only on the 3. So you'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Now, if I asked you, man, okay, hey, can you just play that all by yourself right now? Can you take a drums? You go 1, 2, 3. That sounds really complicated. Me with no experience with the drums, I don't think I could do that right away. And so, working with some music teachers who I've had the chance to interview and talk to, they said, you know, a lot of the reasons some people don't like to play instruments, or they don't like to play, like they don't want to pick up the drums, they don't want to pick up a flute or a saxophone or anything else, is they go, wow, that's way too hard. They go, that's way too complicated. Music is way too complicated. I look at a piano and there's like 70 keys on a piano? That's too many keys. I don't know what each one of them does. How am I supposed to play those in harmony? I watch people playing the piano. They're pressing 5, 6 different keys at a time. How do you do that? I don't know. Maybe me being neurodiverse, maybe that's just not the way my brain can process how music works. I mean, I can listen to music and I can think about music. I can listen. Have you ever had an earworm? That song that just gets stuck in your head over and over and over again. You can play the music in your head, but sometimes translating that to a physical motion to actually play the music can be difficult. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little activity. It's gonna take a little bit to set up, so if we need to do our interviews, we could do those now. We can take a little break. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna set up our wearable music sensors onto these drumsticks. And instead of playing the drums on a drum kit, we're gonna play them with our wearable music sensors. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna decompose it by not having one person play the drums. We're gonna have 3 people play the drums. And each one of us is gonna take one of those drums, or cymbals, or snare, right? The hi-hat. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to play the beat together. So, like I said, we're gonna take a little break. We're gonna pull people aside for interviews. But while we do that, we're gonna get those set up. And when we come back, we're gonna make some beats, y'all. All right. I'm gonna need a volunteer to come on up. Sean, come on up. I'm sorry. You're here, so I gotta call on you for everything. Well, for right now, you'll have to take the place of both my apple and my orange. That's okay. All right. Good. What we got? There you go. You got the snare drum. We all hear the snare drum. Okay, I'm gonna play mine. You hear mine? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my hi-hat, remember the beat, that's on every beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. The apple's on the 1 and the orange is on the 3. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you noticing if you go down and up, it plays 2? Try to get to play 1. There you go. So what would it take to just play the 1? It has to be quick, right?
It's all the way down, it goes to.
So just a little. It's just like light tap. Kind of like you're playing the real drums. 1, 2. There you go. Okay, so let's try it. We're gonna try to do the apple 1, orange 1 beat. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Hey, we did it!
Yeah.
Oh, thanks so much, man. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right. There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, hey, let me think about it. Is that a lot easier than trying to play it on your own? That we played each part separately? Yeah. I mean, that's how a band is arranged too, right? There's one person playing all of the instruments. One person is on the vocals. One person's on the drums. One person's on the guitar. One person's on the bass. I don't know how the drum player plays all those drums. It must be a lot of practice. If I try to do what you and I just did together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's okay. That's a little more complicated. Maybe I can do this, but now if I have to bring in also the kick drum alongside that. That's really hard, right? But I think with 3 people, we'd be able to play that no problem. Would you agree? Yeah. So this is what this is what the wearable music sensors can do. What they can show everyone is, we can break this down. We can break it down so each sensor is doing just one thing, whether it's playing the snare or the hi-hat or the kick or whatever other sounds. So what's really cool about this is you can make whatever sounds you want. Okay, you can make your hi-hat an arpeggio. You could make your snare drum a whale. You could make your kick a dog barking. And the students can do whatever they can make. They can make their own cool sounds. They can make their own. Basically, they can make their own drum kit with this. So it's not just limited to those sounds that you're hearing right now as I'm playing them. But what we're gonna do is I've been talking a lot about that apple 1, orange 1 beat, right? The one that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The apple's on the 1. The orange is on the 3. What we're gonna do is I've got a worksheet for you. Here you go. And for everyone at home, it was in the folder. This is our beat breakdown. If you look, I've got the apple 1, orange 1 beat up at the top. But in the middle, I've got a mystery beat. And I got one at the end that says make your own beat. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna skip ahead a little bit here. We're gonna skip ahead. And I want you to fill in some check boxes. And I want you to make your own beat. We're going to, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this empty measure. We still have our hi-hat, we still have our kick, we still have our snare. What we're gonna do, I still have my drums up here. I'm ready to go. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our own beat and then we're gonna play it. So, Sean and all the other teachers, I will give you 2 minutes to go ahead and try to compose your own beat for me, please. And then we'll play it and we'll see what happens. We'll see how it sounds. So all you gotta do is fill in some check boxes for me, and then we'll make that up here on the screen, and then we'll play it together. Okay, so Sean, help me out. What was your beat? We're gonna fill this out together.
Okay, beat for hi-hat and measures 2 on 4.
Okay, so we got a hi-hat on 2 and 4.
Kick on all 4.
Kick on all 4.
Snare on 1 and 3.
There we go, that's what I want. Snares on 1 and 3. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna need 3 people. So I'm gonna need Jonathan to join us. We're gonna come back. We're all and Sean, all 3 of us are gonna take a drum and we're gonna make Sean's beat. So let's see, I've got my orange, which is my snare. Have a snare. Here you go. So you're the snare. Okay. I'll be the hi-hat. Jonathan's gonna be the kick. Okay, you ready? So we gotta follow this beat, okay? So let's test it. I've got the hi-hat, so it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Who's got the kick? Jonathan's got the kick. Okay, Jonathan, you're on 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And Sean, you got the snare. You're on 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. Do you hear it?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, all right. Well, great job.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. All right. we made our own beats. Great job. So again, we can use the wearable music sensor. We can use our knowledge of measures and beats, and we can make whatever we want. Okay. So to end this, we're gonna go back to some programming, since I am the STEM teacher, and we're gonna show what we can give students as far as using algorithm design and decomposition and pattern recognition. We're going to look at a script in something called EarSketch. And EarSketch is where you can use Python coding to make your own music. And what we've already got this preloaded, and it's ready to go, but I'm gonna show you how we're gonna change it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna load this up. Once we get this script loaded into EarSketch, there's gonna be a bunch of code. Code doesn't matter. Remember abstraction? You focus on the things that are important. You ignore what's unnecessary. What I'm gonna tell everybody is once you got this loaded in, only the red beats are what actually matters. You can ignore the rest of the code. Don't even worry about how it works. We'll discover that later, right? We don't need to know how the code works, but it runs. I'm gonna load this up too. I'm gonna run it, we're gonna see what happens. So I'm in EarSketch right now. I have a code that's loaded from the information that was given out in the teacher folder. I have copied and pasted into my coding window. It should look like this. If you want to take a screenshot or anything, there's what it's going to look like. It has 15 lines of code. The last 3 lines of code have a tab because they're part of a loop. Know what's a loop? Man, if you're not the computer science teacher, don't worry about that. It's okay. It just needs to all look like this. There should be green arrows and red text. The red text is the only thing we care about. That's abstraction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run this code. And, oh, hey, look. It made some music. Maybe if you've ever used a music editor, maybe you've seen a window like this before. But what it's showing me is some beats. If I play it, apple 1, orange 1, apple 1, orange 1, apple 1, orange 1. It's the beat again. Oh, I gotta pause it. So it's got the hi-hat, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's got the kick on 1 and the snare on 3. If we look down at the names for our beats, let's use decomposition and let's figure this out. So Sean, you're gonna help me out, okay? By looking at this code. So, if you look at it, we know the apple is the kick, correct?
Right.
And that always happens on beat 1. Our 1 is the hi-hat, And that happens every beat, beat 1, 2, 3, 4. We know the orange is our snare, and that happens on beat 3. So Sean, you tell me, by looking at this, what is gonna actually make it play on a beat, and what's gonna make it not play on a beat? What do you see just from looking at the way that code is written? Beat 4 should have nothing? That's true. If I highlight beat 4, and I'll give you a hint, this is beat 4. For the apple and the orange, yeah, there's nothing there. Well, there is something there. What's there? What is written there when they got highlighted? Because you notice we didn't put nothing there. There's something there. Let's focus on just the beat. Yeah? So if you look at the apple, so I'll tell you, this is the kick, right? And we know the kick happens on beat 1. And the rest of the beats, there's no kick happening, right? And it's silent. So if you look at what's different, and this is our decomposition, this is our pattern recognition. If you look at it, well, I see a 0 and only see it one time, right? I see it one time. For my hi-hat that plays on all 4 beats, well, I got 4 zeros, don't I? So the 0 must do what? That's going to play the sound, right? You got it. And then for all of the rest of the measure, when nothing's happening, you see those minus signs? Those tell you, oh, that must be, and we can have our students figure this out, that must, the minus sign must mean play nothing, right? It is empty. There's nothing there. What I'm going to tell you, and this is going to make this make a little more sense, is that the measures we've been working with were a 4/4 measure. It was 4 beats long, right? So this one, if you count up all the individuals, and I have my students do this, I have them count it up. If you count up all of the symbols, you get how much? 16, right? Which is 4 times as much. Meaning, if we look at all the symbols, you see those plus signs? Well, that must mean those plus signs do something. And what it does is whenever you play a beat with a 0, the plus signs say extend the beat out for the whole length of the beat. If you break it up your measure into 16 beats, well, if I've got 4 of those there, it's going to play 4 out of the 16, or 1/4 of the measure, so 1 total beat. Same thing with my hi-hat. It plays on beat 1, it plays on beat 2, it plays on beat 3, and it plays on beat 4. And my snare only plays on, 9, 10, 11, 12. It plays on beat 3 with 1 whole beat left at the end. So what we're gonna do, this is the really fun part, okay? So for everyone at home, everyone here who's got ear sketch in front of them, what we're gonna do is we're gonna change that up. We're gonna make it something completely different. I'm gonna throw maybe 0 right there. Maybe I'll put in 2 zeros here. Maybe I'll make this plus sign instead of a minus sign. I want y'all to change this up completely. Do not make anything the same. Make it something completely your own. And I want you to play it and listen back to the beat that you make. I'll give you an example. See, those things, I just changed a couple things, right? Let's try this. There's a 0. Now I'm going to make that 2 plus signs. I'm just changing it up a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it. Oh, and my script changed a little bit. My output changed a little bit. If I go back to the beginning and I play it again, we can listen to it. Boom, da, da, boom, da, boom, da. Oh, it's a little funky now. I put a little funk on it. Okay. That's all it takes. So, what I want you all to do, I'll give you a couple minutes. And this will be our last activity for today. I want you to try and change those zeros, pluses, and minus signs and make a completely new beat. Once you do that, you'll share that with me. and then we'll put up on the screen and we'll play the beat so everyone can hear. Sound good? Okay, I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. Try and make it your own beat. You can always remember you can hit the run button to update it. It'll put your music up here, and you hit the play button up top to play it. Give it a try.
Do you copy the entire code, or do you like highlight the entire code before you run it?
You do not need to highlight the whole code. You just need to hit this run button right up here. I want to remind everyone that teaching this idea of decomposition can apply to more than just STEM. I know this one, if you want to teach this in a computer science class, man, this is what you want to do. You want to get them in Earsketch, and you want them to start making their own music, right? Because I made this a kick, a hi-hat, and a snare. Well, you can import, there's a library of 8,000 different sounds in Earsketch that you can pour it into. And you can make whatever kind of music you want. This was just a beat, but there's melodies and there's harmonies, there's vocals that you can import. And students can play around with this and they can start making their own music. They can import stuff from famous artists and they can remix it. They can change it around. We really want to get students starting with something that they already have and then changing it up in some way and discovering what happens and making it their own, right? But this lesson for decomposition, everything that we do with the drumsticks, you can use this in other classes. So let's say we got a math class. Well, we've talked about how moving them in one direction versus the other. We can teach them about the y-axis, the x-axis, and the z-axis. We teach about those axes. If you're teaching a dance class, because I know we had a dance teacher, I would highly recommend running this because you can have your students make a beat and then you got to challenge all the other students to dance to it. So okay, now you can dance to my beat. And then those group of students, they get to make their own beat and challenge the other students. And they can have a jam session. If you're trying to teach, man, even if you're an English teacher and you go, okay, well, how am I going to use decomposition in my English class? You know, don't forget, you can, everything you do in English, let's say you're writing like a 5-paragraph essay. Well, gosh, you don't just start writing that essay top to bottom, right? You don't start and just write the whole thing. You've got to do an outline first. You got to get all your facts together. You have to decide the structure of your essay. All of that is decomposition. All of that is breaking things down and making it easier to understand. Because if you try to teach it, and this is for all the teachers out there, if you try to teach your students to do something all at once, it's overwhelming. So no matter what you do, you are always using decomposition whenever you teach. But what's really powerful for the students is to show them what they're doing and to codify it so that when they go off and solve a problem on their own, they go, oh wait, well, how am I supposed to do? I'm not supposed to do all this all at once, right? Oh, I'm supposed to break this down and I'm supposed to make it easier for myself. And so hopefully they can transfer that knowledge to something else. Like when they grow up and they got to do taxes for the first time, because as teachers, we didn't teach them how to do taxes. They're going to go, oh, well, I can't just start filling out my tax form, right? Maybe I need to talk to an expert. Maybe I'll watch a video online. Maybe I'll just read each line carefully and I'll just go line by line until I figure it out myself. That's what we want students to take away from these kind of lessons. We want them to be able to be problem solvers on their own. So, let's see. You got a beat for me? Here, let's try to fill out together. I'm gonna use what Sean has. Okay? So I'm going to erase my beat from my Apple. And Sean, if you can just dictate to me what you got there from zeros and pluses and minuses, I'll fill in what you have.
0 plus plus plus. And the next
Mm-hmm.
12 are what?
They're all
9
minus signs.
are minuses and then 0 plus plus plus.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then a 0 plus plus. Great.
1 more plus.
1 more plus?
16.
Okay. One thing you can also try with your students is see what happens when you don't have 16 characters and see what happens. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna pretend like I didn't hear Sean correctly.
Yeah.
And I'll get rid of those. Oops, I made a mistake. But we'll remember we can go back and fix it. All right, Sean, what you got next on the second line?
Minus minus 0 minus 0
Okay, let me see if we have the same thing. So I have minus minus 0 minus 0 plus plus 0 0.
Oh, yeah, 2 more pluses. Okay.
2 more for that? So plus plus? Then 0 0. 2 pluses, rest minus. Okay, great. All right, and then the orange beat. What have you got?
First 9 are minuses, and then 0, plus, 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 and then the rest minuses.
Let's see, how many more minuses will we need? How many minuses are at the end?
4.
2, 3, 4. Like that?
I think so.
Okay. Well, let's try
I
it.
need to get my glasses changed.
Okay, now remember, I made a mistake, right? I made a mistake. So what's gonna happen if I run the compiler? Oh, well, it made the music. Let's play it. I like that beat. That can lead to something. You know, I think Seth said, you know, music isn't rigorous. We don't design it at the beginning. It kind of flows naturally from everyone sharing a little bit of music, and we come together with something. I'm already feeling like what this could evolve into. Okay, so it just played, but I made a mistake. You notice that?
Nah.
But if you look at that first one, the Apple beat that I did intentionally screw up, it looks like it kind of desyncs, right? It doesn't stay in the same configuration as the rest of them, does it? In fact, at the end here, it's got this little extra. So what it's doing is it's taking that measure and it goes, well, okay, well, there were what? 13 beats? I guess there's only 13 beats in that measure. And so it's gonna assume that that beat has 13 measures, and it will just repeat every 13 beats. But what I can do is I can put those back in and pretend I did hear you correctly. Play it. Oh, there we go. Now I'll go. You see what changed? Now the beats line up. Now the measures line up. So if I play it again, it will sound different. See, now I wish I could just pull out a drum and start jamming along with this. That would be great. So my music class, you get someone's music that they put up there, and then everyone else is gonna pull out some drums and freestyle with it. See what they can create. And then you go, wow, hey guys, you created some music today. That's awesome. And they had a baseline to go off of. Because maybe making the beat by themselves is difficult. But if they're hearing something, they can go, oh, I could pick up on that, I can go. So yeah, that's a really powerful thing that this tool can do. So hey, thanks for doing that with me, Sean, I appreciate it. So yeah, that's your sketch. Any questions about what we've done today? Or about how we can use the wearable music sensor, or how we can use coding to teach everyone about decomposition?
Do you have any adaptions or extensions that you can show, possibly?
Well, my suggestion would be to continue with EarSketch. Because if you look over here on the left, there are thousands of different instruments that you can use. So I used kick 6, hi-hat 3, and snare 5. Well, you could go in and you can, I could search instead for instruments, and I could search for drums. And instead of the kick, I could do this, I'll take this drum loop. I'll copy that. That's a dubstep drum loop, part 1. Who likes dubstep?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, if I play that, oh, it's a different instrument. So if I run my script and I play it now, ooh, that echo, that sounds a little bit better, doesn't it? I like that. So I challenge everyone, hey, make your own beats, import your own instruments. And then from there, you can go through the curriculum, if the students are really interested in this, and you can say, okay, hey, how are we gonna add a melody? What if I want to add a keyboard? What if I want to add what if I want to add this drum loop? Something that's already built in. And I could build on top of it. Maybe I add a guitar to this. We start making a whole ensemble of instruments that leads to us making our own songs. That's what I do with my students. I teach them the basics, and I say, okay, now go crazy. Now go and find all the other things you can do in your script. Instead of just making a measure for your beats, make a measure that uses a different command. Find the command to add a guitar. Find the command to make a piano. And they'll go and discover for themselves because you've given them the tools to see what the program looks like. The syntax is already there. The hardest thing to teach students with coding is the syntax. But if it's already there for them, all they have to do is edit it. Do you see how easy it was to just edit that beat by just changing the zeros and the pluses and the minus signs? That's what you want to teach them. Does that make sense? You wanted them to then explore on their own and then make their own music. And then I would also say with the wearable music sensor, definitely play around with what you can do in the sonic introduction. Change up the sounds. Have them make their own beats and play it out with each other. Challenge them to visually represent on a screen somewhere. Draw out the beat, and then some other group of students has to then follow along and copy that beat down. All those things. So this is normally like a 2-day lesson, but you could do this for a whole week. Just trying out different instruments, challenging the students, going into this code and bringing it. You can bring it back at the end of the week by saying, hey, you're going to make a whole song that you're going to make. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
It's kind of abstract. Do you think polyrhythm kind of links up with neurodiversity? You know?
Oh yeah, because if it's sometimes like the way we think of sound is there's all this neat repetition and pattern to it, but if they are allowed to kind of freestyle, they really are visually representing their thought process, right? They're showing how everyone's thought process is different. I like that. That's especially true because this week for any of the school is doing it. This is Neurodiversity Week, and we do want to highlight for those students. Yeah, everyone's brain is a little bit different. Everyone's brain is unique and thinks a different way. So hearing this, all these sounds come together, even if there isn't like a uniform, you wouldn't expect there to be a uniform harmony, right? You expect, hey, if everyone's doing something different, it's gonna sound really different, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I really liked it when you did that shorter bar with the 13 beats and then had a real polyrhythm where they're out of sync, but somehow they feel really compelling and together.
Yeah, it almost shows too that there really isn't a right or a wrong way to do music. You know, it's not like this structured. I mean, some music is like that, right? I'm sure, for sure. Like if you're doing like a concert arrangement, yeah, everyone needs to play the exact right part, the exact right time, or something doesn't sound right. But if everyone's freestyling, there is some harmony to, excuse me, that randomness, that dissonance. It still sounded good, right? It sounded like something you could be proud of. Yeah, and it really is a powerful tool to go, hey, everyone, if you thought you couldn't make music, well, you just did, right? That sounded great. You'd made music at the end of the day. And then that's a confidence builder where they start thinking, well, wait, maybe I can make music. Maybe I'll have a little bit more confidence to try this other thing that I was a little hesitant to do, right? Maybe I feel a little better outside of my comfort zone, right? I think that's really important for our group of students too. Yeah. Cool.
All right, I have a question.
Yes.
I know that you've mentioned some of the ways that it can apply towards the workplace, but, and this can be for both you and Sean to kind of think about, what are some things out of this right here that can be adapted inside of the classroom so that we can start to teach students about some of those workplace skills? So what are some things out of here that might be beneficial for teaching some of those extensions?
Ooh, well, as far as workplace skills, I mean, we know that, especially the workforce today, no one is doing a job by themselves. There's always some element of teamwork. And if you relate it to a band or like a musical arrangement, you go, okay, well, someone has to play the drums, right? Someone has to sing. Someone has to play the guitar. Someone has to play the bass, right? Everyone has a role to play in the band, just like you would have a role to play on your team at your job. and we can make a good analogy out of it by saying, well, if one person isn't doing their job, and all of a sudden the bass is slacking and they're off key and they're not playing along with everybody, you're like, oh, that doesn't sound very good, does it? Dang, and it really makes you understand just how important teamwork is in job, as far as job play skills go. I think that would be the most important part of this kind of lesson to teach students. Like, no, I mean, sure, you could probably make music by yourself. Some people do that, but a lot of people work as a team, right? And then that teamwork is really important to be able to work together. So if you can give them all a bunch of, like, if you put them in wearable jazz and you say, okay, you got to make the harmony work, because each one of those sensors is affecting the other. They all kind of have to communicate, either whether it's visually or auditory, like however they're communicating to each other. Like maybe, hey, you slow down, or you go up and down instead of side to side. They all have to work together to make some harmonious sound, right? They have to make a sound that's pleasant to them, and it's incorporating all those communication skills too.
Your thoughts, Sean? What do you think?
In the workplace, when I run a restaurant, that's what we have to do. You have to work together. If somebody's slacking, it's disharmonious, and then everybody else feels it. But when it's flowing well, it's a good feel. Makes everybody else happy.
No, that's true. It's also as far as the environment, like the workplace environment, how you feel when you come to work every day. Yeah, imagine coming to work to, and everyone else in the group has that different harmony than you, and everything feels a little off. Like, dang, that would affect your performance, right? That would affect your workflow. That would affect how you feel. So get in and understand that, the environment that you create, the culture you create in a workplace, really affects everybody, not just yourself, right? You affect the people around you. And so, like, for example, if you're all working together to make that harmonious sound, hey, it's gonna sound great. If one person is like actively trying to disharmony, sow discord, sow disharmony in the group, well, dang, that didn't sound very good. Now everyone's mood is down a little bit. Exactly. I agree with you.
And this is also really good for like what you were pointing out. If there was a mistake somewhere, like taking that mistake and learning to like work with that as well.
Yeah, and that goes back to I don't know if you had the full lesson on debugging yet, but the idea is, you're supposed to just kind of go in there and play it and see what happens and make adjustments. You recognize that you're not gonna know how to do things right away. There's gonna be a learning curve, but you shouldn't be afraid to try it out and try something new. You shouldn't be afraid to pick up an instrument, just kind of go nuts with it and see what happens. So that's why I think having, the instruments that are accessible is a really good way to drive that analogy home. Because if we told them, hey, we're all gonna learn how our team building skills, everyone, okay, you're on the drums, you're on the saxophone, you're on the flute, that's not gonna work, because we're not gonna know how to play those instruments. They require some sort of, technical prowess to be able to work with them. For another example, my students in our STEM class, we did the same thing, not with the wearable music sensor, but with Lego coding and Lego sensors. We did the same thing. We made a guitar and drums that when you just kind of move elements on the guitar, or you just hit the drums, they just work. There's no technical skill required. It's just, can you move this? Can you like manipulate it in some way? Great, it plays the sound just fine. It doesn't need to be in tune. It doesn't need to be checked. It doesn't need to be this expensive equipment. And that's a great starting off point for learning anything. You want the technology and everything, you want it to just work, right? They want to be able to pick it up and play. And so that's where the wearable music sensor, I think, really is a powerful tool, because you can just pick it up and, oh, it's making music. Well, okay, here we go. It's perfect. It's already there. Yeah.
Thanks, John.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you so much. All right, and thank you to my participants. I really appreciate you helping me out today.